The IBM Forms 4.0 Designer includes exciting new capabilities that simplify connecting web forms to back-end enterprise applications. I'm John Boyer, the Distinguished Engineer for IBM Forms, and in this video I'm going to show you how the XML data definitions for your enterprise information system can be used to directly drive the design of forms presented on the front-end web browser. The IBM Forms design environment has a graphical design canvas in the center, and it has a tool palette of drag and drop objects on the left. And you can use these tool palette objects to create user interface elements, as well as an automatic data model at the same time. But in this video, we're going to talk about what happens when you're thinking of your whole information system, starting with designing the data structures, and then working towards the front-end web browser. In this case, you'll have data definitions known as XML schema that describe your application's data structures, and the IBM Forms Designer allows you to wrap a form directly around those exact data structures so that you can achieve a straight-through XML data processing model. So the front-end form collects the exact subtrees of XML data needed by a back-end enterprise application or business process without needing to perform custom transformations with middle-tier Java code. I'll start by associating a schema with this form. The sample schema that I have is for a medical pre-approval, but you can create a schema for pretty much any kind of data processing application. Then I'm going to tell the designer to create a data model according to the definition of that schema, including the enumerations defined in that schema. Once that happens, I have a tree view that contains a data model that conforms to that schema, including basic information about the patient, like their last name, first name, social security number, date of birth, insurance policy number, that sort of thing. Contact information like email, phone number, cell, and even a subtree for an address block. And of course the details, like the reason for the medical procedures, is this a referral by a specialist doctor, and what are the recommended procedures that are going to be approved. So I have all of this data available, and now this tree view actually becomes a super form of this palette on the left, in that I can actually drag and drop these subtrees and it will create all the user interface for me. So I'm going to flip over from the wizard page over to the main form page for now, and I'm going to do just that. I'm going to drag and drop the basic patient information, and you'll see that it creates the user interface for me, but it also binds that user interface directly to the XML data that conforms to the needs of the back-end business process. So these user interface elements will collect the exact XML that's needed by the back-end system. You can also see that the designer has read the schema data type definition, so it knows to do things like create a date picker for date type fields, create a drop-down menu for enumerations, checkboxes for Boolean values, and so forth. In fact, this drop-down is actually a combo box because the enumeration has a union with a string, that's a technical term, that allows you to say other medically relevant things than just male and female. I'm going to do this drag and drop again now with the contact information in order to show you what happens when we have information that's been created that includes a subtree. I'll scroll down a little bit, I'm in small video demo mode here, and you can see that I've gotten not only the basic information here, but I've actually gotten a whole subgroup of controls to represent the entire subtree within the tree that I dragged and dropped. Okay, so all of this stuff is bound up for you automatically. Now, of course, once you have all of this, you can click on any of these user interface elements, and then you can go into things like the properties, or you can double click on them, or what have you. And change things like the background color, whether you have borders, whether you have what are the fonts, what's the layout of these things. You can even right click them and convert them, like if you don't like the fact that we created a drop down, you could create a radio group or a checkbox group or what have you. So you have complete user interface control over these things, but whatever you do, these things are still all bound to the underlying data model that's needed on the server side. So you really have a very powerful drag and drop environment for XML schema based design.